Brandon, go ahead.
Yeah, you had athletes that had really, really good championship aspirations that indoors didn't get a chance to do that. What was the conversations like with your team when they found that out? Because there was pretty high hopes going in some of the
Yeah, so I've kind of got both sides of what everybody's been talking about. I have winter sport and I also have spring sport. And I have 4 teams, 4 different rosters. And we were at the national championships. We had, along with the other qualifiers, there's about 550 total student athletes that are at the national championships. We had 2 days of practice. We were less than 24 hours from competing. And I had some amazing kids that were ready to go. So it was kind of a tumble effect. Wednesday, you started hearing about basketball and all the things that were going on. And you started to have that sense as a coach, like this isn't going to last for us. But a lot of the focus was on the tournament, and we kept kind of thinking, well, it's a contact sport. They're playing a ball sport. We're already here. Our committee made some amendments. They canceled the banquet. They canceled the coaches meeting. They continued as is. But the Thursday, we started competition Friday, but Thursday it just started to tumble. First UCLA was sent home, then Stanford was sent home. By about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the ACC had pulled out. The Big Ten had pulled out. This was all happening at the hotel where all those teams were staying. So we were in the lobby hearing all the stories. We took the team over at 2 o'clock and had a team meeting that said, right now the SEC is still in, but at any moment this could get pulled. And we got to facility, we're practicing, and that's what happened. We came out with the notice from President Emirates. So I'd like to say I think it was the right call. It was a very difficult durational thing for us because, it started on Wednesday and it was lead up to a national championship and it just kept slipping each hour almost. But I think it was the right call. I had great communication with Tennessee. Our Coaches Association leadership was at the national championship, so we were able to meet with them as well. So I really felt from a track and field side of things, we were in the know as it was happening. It was just extremely difficult for our young people. We had sent the rest of the team off for a short spring break, the weekend before. We were meeting actually today to start practices for the outdoor season. And so I really was unable to get back in time to have a team meeting and even meet with my team.
Wes?
So I know when you look at, I guess there's eligibility issues that different sports have to go over for different reasons. There'll be different hurdles there. When you look at with what y'all would have to deal with indoor, with outdoor, how difficult would that conversation be to even try to get a grasp of?
Yeah, it's a high priority that I'm really hoping the NCAA and the leadership figures out sooner versus later. Our senior class is a very talented group and currently is looking at this outdoor season as a red shirt, correct? And then you've got the seniors that were at the national championships that didn't get to see their dreams through. So we need some answers on where it's gonna play out. Of course, we do not have enough scholarship for cross country, indoor track, outdoor track, 12.5 on the men, 18 on the women. That's spread all over amongst a lot of people. So our leadership, in fact, while I was waiting, we got a notice from our Coaches Association that has put forward the ask for the indoor season to be given back, as well as obviously the spring, and that our scholarships upheld and not a part of our counter of what we have right now. So I don't know where it's all going to go. It's too early, but hopefully they'll figure it out before too long.
Yeah, and given that it's not a head count sport. There's kids that are probably paying a lot. How does that factor in too? Because not all of them can afford to come back even if they're given the eligibility. You have to have those conversations.
Yeah, I've had a couple heartbreak conversations this, I guess today's Tuesday, so this week already, of young people that are graduating, weren't expecting to come back, have to look at grad school, they can't extend their undergrad, all of those things that they're paying for. I've got a school record holder that's a walk-on student athlete. So, it's a hard time. It's a hard time just to process the loss, but also potentially the loss of not being able to participate in their sport, even seeing their career through.
Right.
Over this has probably been a whirlwind for your whole student athletes and everybody, but how do you kind of break this down to your young student athletes? How do you talk to them through this, and what kind of questions have they had for you? Like, how do we go about life here? What do we do? Like, how's it been for you?
Yeah. So for the first few days, it was simply pure group me texts. I was just shooting stuff as I learned them, as we knew them, to kind of calm the gossip down. And I was still in Albuquerque, so things were moving just crazily for us. But we did a good job with that, and we deciphered a lot of information that way. I was able to formulate my thoughts and send an email to the whole team, because we are split up not only across the country but across the world. I was able to get to the airport on Sunday to say goodbye to one of our young men that was leaving for Greece to go back home. But I got an email, I formulated my thoughts, and I went with one of our team mottos, which is actually, I have kept it from the SEC, but it's scholars, champions, and leaders. And I broke it down in those 3 categories for them, and asking them to, not let this semester go, that take the time this week to prep for the classes that are going to be online, and the resources are different, and so on and so forth. We've had a great academic semester so far, so I'm asking them to see that through and be the best scholar they can be, and then to be the best champions they can be. And that, is something that I'm not as concerned about. Our young people are so internally motivated, and the drive is there. I've had to temper some of the training already. The beauty of being a distance runner is you can go out and do that during this time, but the other side of it is you're not going to race again until September. So we've got to do things correctly and smartly. And with our track and field athletes, right now we're just asking to kind of get through March and April 1st to really ramp up the training again and go through a cycle of April and May, rest a little bit and go again. So I'm just asking them to be the best champions they can be and to stay focused. I use the slogan, it's kind of cheesy with Nike, but to just do it. And, they have to find ways to just get it done. And then finally, I asked them to step up as leaders. I think this whole thing is such a global impact that we aren't even aware of the full depth of that. And I've asked them to be leaders and to take the strengths that we have within our program and apply them to their communities and their families and the people in need, that they can affect not only here and wherever they may be in the States, but around the world. And that is the part that I think is the most rewarding of knowing our student athletes are prepared to help, and they're doing that. And it's been a good move. It's really been a good move.
I asked Rick Barnes the same question I'll ask you. Do you think that they fully grasp what's going on yet, or is it going to take them a while at their age to figure this out?
It's interesting because I also have a niece who's a sophomore in college, and so it's an interesting time to listen to the belief of how rapidly it went. We had a team meeting Monday night last week, left for the national championships and couldn't conclude the national or even start the national championships. So the happening so rapidly, I think, has taken them by surprise. But I do believe that our young people are engaging now in understanding. They're back home, they're in their communities, and they're realizing that this is a long haul. But I do think that that's in our nature as track and field, to be able to sit back, be quietly in the background, and be ready to strike when we need to. I'd like to also point out we have a handful, if not more, of young people internationally and nationally that are in the position to be on the Olympic team. And so we're also hoping that when this ebbs and flows back away, we can get to training for some of them, because our Olympic trials are scheduled as is. Olympic Games have come out and said they're scheduled as is. And so if that holds to be true, we've got some work to do and we can get back to coaching.
Finish up the minutes.
Coach Barnes had mentioned that, with a couple of his international players, the challenges of trying to get flights and get them back home internationally, but the NCAA won't pay for all of it, and they wish that obviously the university could. Have you had any circumstances and challenges in terms of trying to get in your athletes back home?
Our kids worked, we weren't here, so our kids worked independently and booked some. Now I have a bunch of internationals here that did not want to go home. So, but the 4 that did go, worked independently and did that. Their parents either booked it or they did from here, from Knoxville, and got it done. So the Student Assistance Fund is what I think Rick was referring to. I'm certain those things will be reviewed at a time when that can be assessed at that time on high priority need and all the way down.